Again, we're talking about three ways you know, or three signs of if you are experiencing or you're dealing with spiritual warfare. The first sign is severe sleep disturbances. And this is above and beyond if some of you are night owls like myself, or if you're waking up constantly throughout the night, and some of that may be, you just got a lot on your mind, but 9 times out of 10, it has to deal with some spiritual warfare. And especially if you are waking up at a specific time every single night. So, like for me, it was, just to give an example, 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, and I'm not really dealing with that as much because I recognized what it was and I was able to start to address it. So if you're waking up at a specific time every single night or going into the morning, especially going into what I like to talk about, like the watch hours, and that's a whole nother live. I don't have time to get into that. But mine was 3 o'clock in the morning. And also if you are having extremely vivid dreams, and dreams that you act like they say, do you dream in color? They're in color, they're vivid, they're very expressive, they feel real. Okay, because all of that is basically is communication and is signs coming from the divine, or coming, in from the spirit and from the spirit realm, that's trying to give you communication and messages. Okay, so severe sleep disturbances above and beyond your normal, okay, I'm getting up a lot or I'm not able to sleep. No, we're talking about waking up a specific time and having extremely vivid dreams are usually telltale signs that you have something that you're wrestling with, and there's some spiritual warfare that may be going on in your life. The second thing, or the second sign, is you feeling like really something that you have been struggling with, or maybe have struggled with in the past, is basically recycling or is coming back to the forefront. Okay, and this also includes people from your past resurfacing. So many of you right now may have people that have reached out to you that you have not talked to, and whether it was somebody that you was in a relationship with, as far as a romantic relationship, or it may have been a friend or even a family member. But people that have resurfaced from your past may have re-entered your life, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. So this is what I'm saying, that just be aware, and this is why I wanted to do this live, because I want you to be aware that these sometimes are signs of spiritual warfare. And let me just go a little bit more into that. When you have something that was not settled or taken care of, and I've spoken about this before, but I want to attach it, I want you to understand how it connects to spiritual warfare. When there's something that you have not dealt with that keeps resurfacing, it keeps recycling and keeps resurfacing, it just means it's communication that it needs to be put to rest, that you need to address it, that there's no more time to play, there's no more time to keep, tucking it away in the Pandora's box and hiding it under the bed or whatever you've been doing. It just means it's communication. It says whatever you resist will persist, right? Whatever you resist will persist. So this is how spiritual warfare shows up sometimes. It shows up sometimes as people that we know that may or may not, have had some kind of negative interaction with in the past, and now they have resurfaced again. Or it can even show up as people that are currently in our life, current relationships that are very toxic and that we are holding on to. Okay, and it means it's either way, it's communication that we have to address it. Okay, and because the reason why it's spiritual warfare, because it is draining on your spirit, it is bringing you down, it is making you have a spirit of heaviness, it is making you have a spirit of depression, anxiety. So it is draining on your spirit, and if your spirit is compromised, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to move forward in the things that you are purposed to do. So this is why this is so important. This is why I wanted to do this message, because we have to recognize when there are things that we have to fight in the spiritual realm. We can't fight everything in the natural. We are dealing in a time, in an era that most things have to be fought in the spiritual realm. Okay. um, there's the scripture about we're not, fighting against flesh and blood, but we're fighting against principalities and the spirits of darkness and the rulers of darkness. And we have to understand what that means, okay? So just because we have a relationship that we keep wrestling with a person in our life, and it's a problem and it's constant and we don't know what to do and it's bringing us down, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're dealing with that person in the flesh and blood. You can be dealing with a spirit that's, working through that person to bring havoc into your life. Okay? So we have to be able to recognize when we are dealing with spiritual, spirituality issues, as far as how we are showing up every day and how we are being tested. Okay? Because everything is not what it seems. We have to know how to look beyond the surface and look beyond these natural eyes. Okay? So something that keeps recycling, that is another sign. That is another sign of spiritual warfare. The last thing is, again, how is it making you feel? What is going on with you internally? Right? So if you are feeling very restless, if you are feeling very anxious, I've had a number of people reach out to me and literally have used these words. I feel like I'm losing my mind. If you are someone that's normally very sane, very on point, organized, you're a lead, all of you are leaders, right? And I'm talking about, just so you know, I'm speaking to you as leaders, as professionals, as, thought leaders, as, people that, people rely on you, right, for answers. So these are the people that are reaching out to me and saying, Phoenix, I feel like I'm losing my mind. I don't know what's going on. I don't feel right. I don't feel like myself. I'm unsettled. I'm restless. I'm anxious. I'm agitated. Spiritual warfare. So those are like the 3 telltale signs. There's many more. There's many more. And again, I can, go into it. But, usually morning chat for the soul, I try to keep it very brief. But those are enough for you to start really looking and going within, because that's really the message I want to give to you. It's time you have to take your spirituality practices up another level. Okay? Because again, what you think you can take care of in the natural, yes, there's some practical things that we can do. And, I can talk about some of those tips, and I will. But there is really where the work needs to happen is in the spiritual realm. Okay, and anything that's in the spiritual, anything that's a problem or that we're warring against spiritually, we have to fight it with spiritual weapons.